Welcome, everyone. Just a minute and we will get started. We've got a very important question to answer today, having to do with essentially how to form new habits. Okay, here we go. All right, so our question today is about, really about how do we form new habits and how do we get out of our own way, stop judging ourselves, and do the things, the behaviors, the activities that are actually going to help us move forward in our recovery. They're going to help us get to our goals. It's hard for us to show up for ourselves and actually do those things. Now, first of all, I think this is hard for anyone. So give yourself some grace in that. It's not just because you're a survivor of abuse. This is hard for anyone to form new habits, to start new behaviors, to add something into your routine as self-care. This is hard for us. We're used to going, doing for others, especially as women. But then there is this added layer of difficulty for those of us who have been victims of abuse, because we're even more used to not trusting our own voice, not trusting ourselves, and not showing up for ourselves. We're used to showing up for others on an even more intense level. This relates to codependent behaviors very much, where our identity can really be found in our relationships and in other people. I made a social media post about a month ago that I think I'm going to repost this picture sometime soon. I can't remember. I was looking at it the other day and I wrote on 2 Post-it notes and took a photo of it. I put, you do not equal, like the equal sign with the line through it. You do not equal your relationships. Like our identity is not our relationships, the status of our relationships. That includes how much we're helping or serving others. That is not our identity in and of itself. Your identity is everything that makes up you. Now, yes, a part of who you are can be a compassionate, caring, helpful person. That's certainly a part of who I am, but it is not the root core of my identity. So, if I'm not able to help someone, if they don't want my help, then that doesn't shatter my sense of self. Does that make sense? So we should be able to turn that compassion and that desire to help towards ourselves. And that's what's really difficult. I'm going to give you kind of the hard truth, like the short answer first, and then we're going to backtrack and talk about some tools to make this easier. Okay. So the hard truth is that ultimately you have to be the one to show up for you. Like you have to do it. You have to show up for yourself, whether it's doing the art tasks in this program, or doing something else for yourself, cracking down on your budget, getting more disciplined with that, or being more social, or going to therapy, or exercising more, like whatever these things, these habits you want to incorporate into your life that are a part of self-care and a part of improving your mental, physical, emotional, spiritual health. You have to be the one to do it, and so it may take a group of doing it. It may take a walking buddy to get you to go out and walk and get that exercise you need. But ultimately, you have to be the one to get up and walk. Okay. So that's the hard, short answer, is that when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, if you want to change, you have to do the work. And that point that we all get to, where we're willing to actually show up for ourselves, that comes at a different point for all of us. And, it makes me think of that concept of sort of a rock bottom. We think of somebody has a rock bottom moment and then they just change their life. Well, number one, I don't think that rock bottom moment has to be something hugely dramatic, like you almost, overdosed on drugs and almost died, and that was your big aha moment, your rock bottom, and then you came back from that and, built a glorious life. So I don't think it has to be that dramatic. And number two, I forgot what number 2 was. Maybe it'll come to me. But so, your rock bottom moment before you finally show up and care for yourself may be just that you've noticed this pattern over time of, there went again, I wanted to do this week and I didn't do it. Oh, it happened again. And then you just reach a point where you're fed up with it. That can be the rock bottom, that you went X number of days or weeks or months or years. And still, when you reflect, like, oh, I haven't achieved this goal, I haven't shown up for myself in this way, you can just reach a point where you're ready to move forward. So that is different for everyone. Excuse me. So our question, today was specifically talking about um, difficulty like showing up to do the art for this program, and a lot of self-judgment and judging yourself for being just ridiculous over not doing it, and then also some judgment over yourself as an artist, that like, I can't do the art good enough, so that's a barrier too. So I want to remind you, first, that when I say this is a no judgment zone in this program, I really mean that. And you may look at some of my artwork that I've shown as examples and think that it's great or that it's better than yours. You might be comparing yourself. I don't know, but I literally scribble. I literally do that, and I have a bachelor's degree in art, in painting, and I scribble and I finger paint, and it's okay. And I understand the feeling that it has to be good art. I experienced that when I first started my training in art therapy in graduate school. A lot of us there, I've told this story before, a lot of us had a background in fine arts. We had a degree in art and a few other psychology classes that prepared us to start this art therapy program. And I was definitely an artist at heart, and trained, again, like my degree trained me to be a professional artist. And then I was sitting in my first art therapy class, asked to do a crayon drawing to introduce myself to my peers. And I was in my late 20s. The women in that class, I think it was mostly women, ranged from early 20s all the way to early 50s, a wide range of ages and experiences with art and just life experience. And I was asked to sit with these women in this room of like 16 to 20 women, and do a crayon drawing, to spend 15 or 20 minutes on a crayon drawing to introduce myself. And that felt like so much pressure to me, new to this program, new to this concept of art therapy. And I'll never forget that so many of us going around the circle, sharing our art when we were done, we had all these disclaimers about like, oh, well, our time was limited, or crayons aren't my usual medium, I'm used to oil painting or whatever. Like, we all had these things, these disclaimers that we felt like we needed to say, to excuse like how just elementary, how ugly like our drawings were, and then, but after you see everybody else's and see what they're doing, there's so much power in that. And you see, oh, it's okay. Like, this person, theirs was the same level as mine. That's not what this is about. And then, of course, as I learned more about the concepts behind art therapy, I learned that it was all about the process, and it wasn't, about creating a finished, beautiful piece of artwork per se. Now, lots of times you're going to end up with something that's beautiful. You don't need to avoid that, but that's not the end. That's not the goal from the starting point. And then just to finish up that story, then probably by the next class that I had, where we had to make some art in class, we were all, so much more comfortable. We were fine with scribbling and just sort of laughing at ourselves and whatever. So it didn't take much time to get comfortable with that, because I was in a community, in a group of other women, other, classmates who were going through the same thing. And so that brings me to this program. The community component of this program is very intentional for many reasons. One is that, we just in general, we're built for community, for relationships, right? To journey with other people. Two, those of us surviving narcissistic abuse, we often don't trust others who don't firsthand understand our experience. That's why, things I share resonate with you all, because I've experienced it. Now, of course, we're all individuals and have some variations in our stories, but the core of what we've experienced is very similar in many ways. So we can relate to each other. And so I know the community is small right now, but lean on the other women in this group, in the program, whether it's through the group message chat or through posting in the Redefined Process Facebook group. Lean on the other women here and on me. You can reach out to me, especially with this group being so small. Feel free to do that. That community is helpful for so many reasons. Now, specific to this issue of being self-conscious about your art, you'll find that the other women in the group feel the same way. And some of them have pushed through that, and some of them are still struggling with that. Not to put her on the spot, but I know Anya really struggled with this in the beginning. Like, should I share my artwork? Like, I don't know. And I said, yes, like I encouraged her to do that. And she was able to get up the courage to share her art in the group. And And I do think her work was beautiful, again, that's not the goal, but I love, in case you're afraid that I'm judging you, let me just give you some background into the type of art that I love. Even before my training in art therapy, I have always been drawn to art done by those who are not formally trained in art. One of the official names for this is outsider art. People that just live like out in the backwoods in the country somewhere, and they make like these beautiful you know mosaics like on their front lawn, just because they feel drawn to do that. I love that kind of art. And children's art, my daughter's art and other children's art, I love that. I like that better in many ways than a really fine art that you would see in a museum. And so I just think there's so much beauty in art that comes from the heart, comes from our emotions, that isn't caught up in all these pretenses, all these expectations about what it should look like. I think there is this inherent beauty and just rawness that comes out in that. Denise, you're the one that brought up this question that I'm answering today. I've seen just a pen drawing you did on a one-on-one coaching call that I thought was amazing. Not because of the artistic skill, but because of the emotion that it expressed, on a piece of notebook paper with an ink pen. Even today I had a woman in here who is a very accomplished oil painter. She does portraits, they're beautiful. She's actually self-taught, which blows my mind. But she was looking at some little drawings / paintings that I have in my studio for sale that I think are really beautiful and better quality, that are older. And then my more recent work is just like, oh, just emotion all out there. It's me doing art therapy with myself. And when she looked at them, I thought, oh, she's going to like those little like leaf and flower drawings that show better technical skill. But what she pointed out was that each type of artwork was beautiful in a different way. She said, these flower drawings and leaf drawings, they are very detailed and calming and beautiful. And she said these other ones, and I said, oh, they're just emotional and like, blah, aren't they? Kind of judging myself a little bit because I knew she was such a great artist. And she said, no, it's just they're I forget what word she used, but essentially powerful. Like the lines were not hesitant and delicate. They were very strong and bold. And she was noticing that quality in them. So again, it's just different things that make it good, the emotion behind it, the power behind it, the even the fragility, behind it, whatever emotions are coming out, that makes it beautiful in a different way than, a painting that you might see in a museum of a gorgeous sunset. And you're like, how did that artist ever do that? Or a portrait like this woman does, this artist I was talking to, it's beautiful in a different way. And so, yeah, just some context there to help you with that. That was a long story, but I hope that's helpful. So I want to share some practical tips too. So lean on the community here. You can message each other individually if you're okay with that, or just reach out in the Facebook group, make a post. You can share that you're kind of scared to share your artwork. Like that's okay to say that and get some feedback from others. Maybe the group message would be better for that because people are more easily able to respond to that. So you don't have to go this alone. Like we're here, we get it. And let's see. Show up for yourself. Okay, I want to talk about some practical tips with creating new habits. I was making some notes on my phone earlier this morning, like I was getting out of the shower and had all these ideas and I was typing them down. So some practical things. One is the idea of habit stacking. I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but the idea that when we're trying to incorporate a new habit, such as making time for your art, it can be helpful to stack that with another habit that you already do. So for example, if my new habit I want to incorporate is exercising in the morning, I'm going to lay out my exercise clothes the night before, and I'm going to put them by the coffee pot because I know I'm going to get up and make the coffee. I don't actually drink coffee. This is just an example. If you know you're going to get up and go right to the coffee pot in the morning, lay out your exercise clothes and put them right there. I mean, you can put them on the kitchen counter, like it doesn't matter, right? Like that might seem weird. Put your workout clothes, your clean stack of clothes, or your bag you're taking to the gym or whatever next to the coffee pot. Or put them, something that I do a lot at night is put them in the bathroom. If I'm gonna need to change clothes to exercise in the morning, I'll put it in the bathroom because I get up and go to the bathroom, and then it's just easy to change clothes right there and then exercise. So that the first base habit there is that I get up and go to the bathroom right away, and then I'm stacking the habit of changing clothes on top of that, and then that gets me one step closer to actually like exercising. Okay, so let's see, I'm trying to think if I can think of another example of habit stacking. So with the artwork, so if you're wanting to find a time to do, I've got so many ideas in my head right now, doing the artwork each day, first you're going to have to, let me backtrack to this, you're going to have to figure out, even if it feels hypothetical at first, what is the hypothetical time, tentative time that you want to schedule to do that, okay? This may not be what ends up in the end, but what's the time that you think could work? So for me, time to make artwork would be on an evening when I don't have my daughter, or a morning first thing when I get here to my studio for work to spend like 20 minutes. I do that a lot before I get into my work day. So pick a time, and there's a reason why. If you'll recall, I think it's in the video and my intro, the PDF you can open up in the welcome section of the membership site for the Redefined Process. You know, the first things I ask you to do before you even get into session 1 are gather your materials and pick a time and a place. Set up your art space, whether it is, you know, you're storing your art materials in a drawer or cabinet or in a stack on the floor of your closet, and then you get them out and do them somewhere else, or whether it's a space where you can just leave your messy art materials out. Either way, like pick that space where you're going to work and pick the time, like pick a routine, a schedule. Okay. So it can be weekly or it can be less often than that, but just pick a time that is, again, hypothetically, theoretically going to work for you. Okay. So pick that. Then think about how you can habit stack, and maybe putting the materials out is something you can do, like my example with the workout clothes. So if your art materials are particularly if your art materials are packed away somewhere, then let's say I'm going to do my art first thing in the morning, then on a Saturday morning, then Friday night I am going to put the materials out, get them out and set them in the workspace that I would use in the morning. But gosh, I'm trying to go back to this habit stacking idea. I don't know. You guys give me your ideas about what your morning habits are. Again, maybe it's the coffee pot, maybe it's the bathroom. I mean, maybe you put the stack of art materials on the bathroom counter, you know, you're gonna, or it might be a Post-it note as a reminder, or, you know, an encouraging note, or just a reminder on your phone that, you know, you're going to get at this time when you're already doing something else as a part of your routine. Like, you want to get creative with how you can give yourself a prompt, or just when you schedule the art time mixed with another habit. So here's an example. You guys are used to like my weird train of thought by now, I'm sure. So if you have another self-care task that you do, maybe you're journaling in the morning, maybe it's a prayer that you say in the morning, maybe it's the evening, you read a book in bed in the evening, you know, something like that. So it could be another self-care task that you do that you can pair with that, and it might kind of flow seamlessly. Or it could be something totally unrelated. So maybe every Saturday morning you meet your sister for brunch, and you just know as soon as you get home from brunch, you're going to do your art. That's your art time. Okay. So it can be something related to the self-care art time, or it could be something totally unrelated, but you just plan it attached to that other thing. So in your mind, after I go have brunch, then it's my art time. Okay. So try to think of it that way and hold yourself accountable to that. Reach out to us in the community. It could be me individually, or I do really encourage you to use that group message or post in the group to ask for accountability for that. Okay. Like, we might not be right on top of it, like Saturday at 12:15. Oh, you know, Denise is done with her brunch by now. Like, I bet she needs to do her art. You know, we're not going to be that detailed with it. But if you let us know, like, we can be checking in and asking you about it. Okay. But again, it comes down to the hard truth that you are going to have to make that choice to show up for yourself. Let me read my notes here. Okay, 2 other points I want to make about this, and we'll finish up. So along with that, it may be that's, and this is something I know Denise, you and I have talked about before, is it may be too hard to sit down and think about spending that, 45 minutes to an hour or so to do a whole session in the redefined process. If you're struggling to make any time for yourself right now, that might feel really big. So let's take baby steps. Like, think about something small you can do. So maybe, maybe it is doing a 1-minute scribble drawing. Maybe it's making time for that. I, through taking some baby steps, have been able to work in a morning and evening journaling routine. And I don't always draw during that time. Sometimes I do, but to add like 1 minute of drawing, of scribbling to that would be easy. So again, with the habit stacking, like, there's something you're already doing, add something small to it. So if the art specifically is important for you to explore, do a 1-minute scribble on a Post-it note. And again, you're gonna, even with something that small, don't think, oh, I'll get to it, it's so small, it'll be easy to incorporate. Apparently not, because you're not doing it yet. So use those habit stacking principles, plan a time when you're gonna do it. Maybe it is a stack of Post-it notes or index cards sitting next to your toothbrush, and you literally do the 1-minute scribble standing at the counter after you brush your teeth, okay? Or at the coffee pot while you're waiting for the coffee to brew. Maybe you sit and you do your 1 minute, or however, I don't know how long it takes coffee to brew, more than a minute. That could be good. During that time, you're waiting for your morning coffee to finish percolating or whatever it does, right? So start with some small version of that. And then once you get in the routine of that, it's like, it builds in the habit, like the routine, and it makes it easier to fit it in the practical sense, but it's also, you're building this momentum emotionally, because you can look back on this and say like, oh, I did that like 5 days in a row. I did my 1 or 2 minute scribble drawing while the coffee was brewing. Like, that's amazing. That's a big leap from where I wasn't doing anything, and I was just feeling guilty about it and ridiculous for putting it off, right? So that's going to build your confidence, and like, the confidence is so key to all of this, right? It's key to this entire journey, is we're building our confidence and our sense of self. So tiny things like that, even though it might seem silly and too small to have an effect, it's really going to affect you over time, build momentum, build your confidence to where you can do the bigger art task, okay? And something else, the last thing I want to point out with this is, I always say our brains like patterns. So now your brain is stuck in this pattern of not giving yourself the time and attention you're giving it to other people. That's the pattern that at one time was a survival mechanism that helped you, and now it's not helpful for you anymore. You need to, like I said, turn that compassion and that time, towards yourself. So a beginning point for teaching your brain a new pattern is to notice the resistance. I think I said in the group chat how we tend to have the most resistance around the activities that are really going to help us the most. And this can feel crazy making sometimes, like I know I need to do this. Like, why is this the very thing that I'm putting off? Like, what is going on with me? And it's because our brains are in this other pattern, and we need to teach it a new pattern. A personal example where I still experience this is in exercising. I've been doing morning yoga for, like 10 or 12 minutes, following a video. And that's something I had done in the past and gotten out of the habit of. And then for maybe the past 4 or 5 months, I've been committed to it. I don't do it every single day, but that's my goal. And so what I've noticed though is, right before doing the yoga, something that I know to be beneficial to me, I know it's beneficial, I know I enjoy it, I still will get this little twinge of anxiety and feeling of resistance that I don't want to do it. And some of it is overspending the time, because I feel like rushed, like, no, I need to go do this and that. I need to get my daughter out of bed. I need to get her to school. And some of it, I think, is just that resistance to just not wanting to care for myself. And sometimes I'll find myself tearing up a little bit. There was one day this week where I noticed that, and I was like, whoa, like, what is going on with me? So what I want you to do is notice, what is that feeling that comes up when you think about doing it? Is it a feeling of guilt? Like, oh, I should do this. I feel pressured to do this. We talked about that judgment in various areas. Like, you're not going to want to come do something that you're judging yourself about, right? Like if I'm or feeling guilty about, like if I'm constantly telling my brain, um, I should exercise, I should do yoga, and I'm a crappy person because I can't make myself do it. Or I should be doing this art. I'm just such a horrible artist though. I just don't know. And then, but that's silly that I think I'm a horrible artist and now I'm going to judge myself for thinking that. Well, of course I'm not going to want to show up and do art if the thought of adding that into my routine is filled with these feelings of guilt and feeling judged, right? I'm gonna want to run the opposite direction from that. So first notice those feelings that you're having. So I've just been noticing that anxiety, and obviously I've pushed through that because I've been doing the yoga pretty consistently. But that little feeling still shows up. It showed up a little bit this morning. And I took a breath and I said, no, you have the time to do this, like, and it's going to benefit you, do it. So start out by first noticing that feeling. And I think, what did I write down here on my notes? You want to ask yourself why, like you want to explore that some. So why are you feeling that? So for me, with the anxiety around it, or it could be like a feeling of depression, just lack of motivation. Ask yourself why, and I want you to go through it several times. You could write this down if that feels like you can fit that into your schedule, or just think through it. At least 5 reasons why you're feeling that anxiety or whatever it is. That's that feeling. That's the feeling of related to the resistance, right? So, and the reason why I want you to ask yourself several times to really spend some time thinking about it is our first answers to why am I feeling anxiety could be, like I said, oh, I don't have time for this, right? It's surface level things. So I could tell myself, well, I feel anxious about this because I don't have much time. I need to get to work, on time today. I just don't have time for it. But if I keep asking myself why, I'm going to get to the deeper root of what's going on and like the real stuff, right? Like the root of what this resistance is. And for me, like I think my anxiety related to the exercise is precisely because there is still some trauma like stored in my body. And sometimes I will feel emotional while doing the yoga because that stuff is being activated and coming out. Sometimes with the stretching, it's a little bit painful, and it's a reminder. This is key. Some of you might relate to this. So doing that thing that's caring for myself is a reminder of my trauma and like how I still have areas I need to grow in. So I have some very chronically stiff muscles that's why I'm doing the yoga, but some of the poses, it's hard to get into. And with yoga, you never want to, push yourself so far that you're in pain. But when I feel that resistance in my body, I just feel like, oh, I'm so frustrated. Like I just, I'm frustrated. There are certain physical things I have trouble doing, and I'm frustrated with this tight hamstring on my left side. It just hurts so much. And even though I know the yoga is ultimately going to help that over time, the act of doing it and pushing up against that pain in my hamstring, that and the stiffness really, I guess, is what I'm pushing up against. And there's a little bit of pain with it. That reminds me of what I see as my flaws and areas I still need to grow in. So it could be easy to want to just resist that and not even do it. But of course, this is obvious, right? If I don't do the yoga, it's going to be worse. My physical symptoms are going to be worse. So I think that's a good example of where we need to be willing to come up against these feelings and push through them to get the actual benefit. But first, just notice what that feeling is, because you might not be able to name that yet. So Denise and others who are experiencing this, what is that feeling you're having associated with the resistance to doing the artwork or showing up for yourself in other ways? And explore that feeling and ask yourself at least 5 times why that feeling is there. I think it could be helpful to write that down. All right. I really hope you all take this to heart and really consider this. I know a lot of you have either not gotten started yet with the art tasks, or you have and you've reached a stopping point because you got busy and just a lot is going on. And I understand that, but it's time to start noticing where is it still just busyness and you don't have time for it? And where is it that resistance coming up against the busyness to where you could make the time for it, but it's just hard to do that right now? Okay. Please reach out to me with questions. One last thing, the concept of having a challenge, like to help hold each other more accountable. Something that I'm not going to do in this program is just not set up like this, is to do a challenge, like for example, an 8-week challenge of where we all go through the 8 sessions together, because that's just not how this is set up. I don't recruit a bunch of people every 8 weeks to go through it together and then it's done. I recruit a bunch of other people. This is ongoing and work at your own pace. But we can talk in the group chat about those of you who are wanting to get started with this. Again, those who have started the program and then stopped or haven't started yet, either way, if you're wanting increased accountability, we can talk about how to work with that in the group chat, to where you've got something daily, to prompt you. I don't expect you to do 1 session a day, but you want to be thinking about this and be held accountable to sticking to your plan and whatever schedule you've set up for yourself. Daily prompts I think could be helpful. As I've said, I'm creating the app, which there's a lot going on right now. My goal is by the beginning of the new year in January, I will have all these different components set up. There's a lot of other things kind of related to this pivot that I'm making to the app that I'm working on right now. So I know that's a long time to wait, but I promise I'm working on it. But so right now I'm just really, my brain is kind of hurting trying to figure out how to go ahead and give you all some of the components that I'm planning for the app to give it to you right now. So the group chat was one of those things. Eventually I want to do, provide like every single morning, even if it's just 2 minutes, a check-in with you all, at least on weekday mornings, where I tell you what my intention is for the day and challenge you to name your intention. So that may be something that I will start soon, maybe as early as next week, where I have like a daily check-in. I don't know how I could do it with like a video in the like a 1 or 2 minute video in the group message. I'll look into that. I don't want to like record a video and have to upload it to there, but if I could do it live in the group, then I will. So yeah, I'll figure that out. If that would be helpful to you, let me know if that would be helpful. I'm going to send a reminder in just a minute for you all to watch this, because I know not everybody is going to make the time to watch it. So at least by like the beginning of next week, I would love for everybody to have watched this video and considered kind of what would work for you. And then we can talk about it in the group chat. So I'll do something daily, but then I really want you all who are going through the program together to be challenging each other, holding each other accountable. So we could do a challenge where each of you commits to one time, 1 day a week where you're doing your art, okay? And it's going to be a different number of weeks for each of you. If you haven't started yet, it's going to be an 8-week challenge. If you've done the first 2 sessions, then it's going to be a 6-week challenge left. Does that make sense? So, or you guys could decide to start all over again and do 8 weeks together. I don't know, but I want us to talk about this as a group. But maybe challenging each other to do it once a week would be good. The way I'm going to name the Redefine Process program in the app is going to be as an 8-week challenge. But again, we're not all going through it together. So I think making a time weekly is a good, that's hard to stick to, but I think that is a good challenge. So again, we can talk more about what that looks like for each of you. I am going to have multiple, like some other smaller courses included in the app, some that are free and some that are an additional cost, but the main membership is going to be access to the Redefine Process in there, and the weekly coaching calls, and also the community component where y'all can chat together. That'll be the main subscription, and then like added courses that you can just purchase on top of that. But the way the Redefine Process course will be structured will be called like an 8-week challenge. So I think making time for it once a week, if you're wanting a challenge, Denise, like I think that's it. Make a time once a week. And again, we'll touch base in the chat and talk more about that. All right. Thank you all so much. I really value having you all here in the program in these beginning stages to bounce ideas off of, and you're really helping form this. And honestly, I'll go ahead and say, the price is going to go up for other people who access this program through the app. When I launch that, fingers crossed, in January, the price is not going to go up for you all. You're going to stay the same, as you've been I know there are two different kind of groups of you all who have paid in different ways, but the pricing is going to stay the same for you, however you got started in this. Okay, so and that's kind of a thank you for going through this with me, for helping to really create this. I'm also, as a part of the app launch, writing a short book, a short ebook, maybe 60 or 80 pages, and it's going to be sold cheap for like $4.99, but that's also something I'm going to provide to you all for free. And yeah, just lots of new things coming, and some perks in it for you all being here trudging through this with me in the beginning stages. All right, I will see you in the chat.